Hello, everyone. My name is Sinan Kassim, and I'm joined today by the mayor of Coral Springs, Scott Brook. He represents over around 130,000 residents, and today he is going to address the youth and the community concerning the COVID-19 pandemic. Mayor Scott, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Mayor, how are you and your family coping with this new age of social distancing and self quarantine?
I'd say for the most part, we're coping very, very well. We're lucky our two youngest children are home from college and staying with us. So we get to see them every day, have dinner with them almost every day. But I'll tell you, yesterday my wife had a rough time. She's a hugger. I'm a hugger. And we're not even hugging our children. We can't see our grandchildren right now. They're living in different cities and haven't been able to visit them. And not being able to hug our children, our grandchildren, that's a very tough thing. But in terms of our mental fortitude and emotional fortitude, we're strong. Thank God, we are healthy. None of us in the family are ill. My daughter-in-law has had a little fever for the last few days. She's been quarantining for quite some time, and my son has taken great care of Corey, so that's good. And I'm very lucky to have two great jobs and be the mayor of such a great city that has a lot of resources, a lot of great people, a lot of great minds, great hearts, and we know that we'll get through this. And thankfully, at home, we're getting through it as a family. So we feel blessed.
That's very good. And I want to turn towards the local government's response to this pandemic. What is the city of Coral Springs' response to COVID-19, particularly the emergency orders put in place?
So we came out with our safer at home order before waiting for the county to come out with something similar. We decided pretty early on that we would urge all of our residents to stay at home for anything that was other than essential. So whether it is medical supplies, food, or essential work, we've been urging for I don't know exactly how long, but I believe more than a week for everybody to stay home. Lately, we're asking everybody to wear masks. People have asked me, how about a curfew? And what I've shared with them is we've had a essential curfew. So we haven't used the word curfew, but if you are out after 9 o'clock, think about it. What are you out for? If you're out for a walk around your neighborhood, you're good. We want you to have the exercise. We want you to have that stress relief. But if you're out and you're going to a restaurant, well, the restaurants are closed, even for takeout for the most part at 9 o'clock. So there's been an essential curfew for about 95% of our residents that go from 9 p.m., I'd say, to about 7 a.m. before some of the stores open. So without having to put people in that kind of bind, which might cause, I don't know, maybe the word would be too much of a constraint. We've been able to keep our residents safer by having that safer at home order and having the cooperation that we've had for the most part from our citizens.
And one of the reasons that I think it's so important to have you on is because your voice resonates with the youth, whether it's in project leadership or through the Students United Network, and in your role in local government, you have always empowered the youth. And so, what do you feel are the needs of the youth and opportunities for youth engagement while we're self quarantined in these unparalleled times?
So, Sanana, I really appreciate the question. I appreciate your kind comments. Our youth is probably my primary objective to support on a day-to-day basis as the mayor, but also just as a dad. I have five children, and I've raised all five of them with Brenda here in Coral Springs, and we're grateful for so much. So some of the opportunities that exist for you and your peers, my children, are not necessarily known to us particularly, but I'll share with you You have time to reflect, you have time to contemplate, and you have time to adapt and share with us. And I mean, I'm a middle aged guy, and share with us your ideas and your solutions. So, one of my primary goals at this juncture with both of the entities that you mentioned, the Students United Network and our project leadership, is to engage the youth leaders. We're going to start with a youth innovation table sometime next week. I'm working on that with Brook, one of my interns that wants to contribute and give back to the community. I've been in touch with Stephen Muncie and Luke Lefkowitz. They are the leaders of the Students United Network, and I'll be working with them on hopefully something with Sun. We've been able to do things for and with the community in the past live, and I think there are going to be opportunities for us to do things with and for the community virtually. We're still not wanting people to congregate by any means. So we're not urging any of you all to, get together in a group and, you know, bandy about these ideas. We're urging you to do like you and I are doing today, share these ideas by Zoom, by whatever technology that people have. And I think new opportunities will arise. I had a young man, Jonathan Furtig, reach out to me. He's a 2L, second year law student at Brooklyn Law School. And he asked me, what opportunities might exist for him here back in Coral Springs. I said, well, let me see if I can create one for you. I can't pay you right now because I already have two interns that are now working for my law firm remotely and being paid. Things have cut back, as you can imagine, in so many businesses, including law. But thankfully, I can work remotely. I had two hearings last week. And I'd like to work with Jonathan and some other youth on these ideas to support our youth and then get your ideas out in the community. So Jonathan will be calling me on Friday and we'll talk about details for his remote internship, hopefully for about 8 to 10 hours a week in the near future.
And we appreciate you always being there for the youth and being a voice for the youth. And while the government can exhaust resources to try and convince the public to follow the guidelines, do you think that the community is doing a good enough job to stay safe and prevent the virus? And do you have any additional advice on what more we can do?
Sure. I'd say that probably anywhere between 95 and 96% of the community are really collaborating, cooperating. But there's probably a handful that are not. So I get some text of these gloves that are strewn around a Publix lot. Don't throw out your gloves on the floor. That's just, that's disgusting. That's abhorrent. You don't need to do that. We still see some people congregating, not necessarily looking like a family, and not being within that 6 foot zone. So just follow the guidelines, and what you can do is you can also go above the guidelines. So my daughter-in-law has quarantined herself in Coconut Creek, and that is helping the spread, and I believe that's helping save lives. And if you have people that are at home and ill, stay home, and the people that are with them should stay home as much as possible. And if you can enroll an outside source to potentially bring you your essentials, and your essentials are what? How many rolls of toilet paper do you need? Right? We've had hoarders. I don't know whether they're living in Coral Springs, coming in here from outside of Coral Springs, but the hoarders are part of that 3-4% that have not been cooperating. I like that Publix, finally has this rule, one bag of toilet paper. So yesterday there were a bunch of cases at Publix, my local Publix. I was able to get one, and that's all you need. And you have that one, and then you have different options. So I'd say if our residents, our young people, can go above the guidelines. So think about, what do you really need over the next 14 days, right? We're expecting the apex to reach in around 10 to 15 days. So you have to go out. And if you don't have to go out, don't go out. Forget about safer at home and just go out for essentials. People may be going out for non-essentials along with essentials. And if you go to Publix to get, five essential items and six non-essential items, maybe just stick to the five essential items. Get in and out quicker. And now, hopefully, that we are urging everybody to wear masks. So take it as though it's a law, as opposed to an urgent. Something we're imploring you to do, and go out and wear a mask. When I leave my office here, I'm wearing my mask. I've got this with me. If I'm out in Publix, I'm wearing my mask. When we work at City Hall and you're walking around outside of your office, everybody's wearing their mask. And it's a great way to help, be healthy and save other lives.
That is great words of advice to stay safe and prevent the virus. And I think that one of the things that we have to focus on is, Mayor Scott, you're a business owner yourself, and many in the community are feeling economic and financial insecurity during these times. So, what steps is it that the city is taking to protect businesses, small businesses, and the workers that drive them?
So on our economic development website, we have listed each business that is essential and that are serving customers in the restaurants primarily. A few of them happen to be Rita's, La Fontana, 2J's, Metro Diner, but a whole list of the businesses that are open and catering to our residents are on edo.com. We're also working with different resources to help our small businesses get loans, and those resources are also listed on the website. Another great website for everybody, whether it's business or other coronavirus related items, is our main website, which is coralsprings.org. And if you go /coronavirus, you'll see not just the COVID-19 update, but also updated resources. We urge people to call 211 for multiple needs, and they are a great resource for multiple resources. And let me share with you, we're going to assist with some of the businesses towards midsummer. Currently, Jacksonville has a program that is great for small business loans. And our economic development director, Christy Bartlett, will be working with the chamber and other businesses in our community to help the small businesses get through and beyond this pandemic. One of the things that I'd share with small business owners and our residents and our youth, really with everyone, is to be patient. And if you have faith, be faithful. Don't stay in your head with negative thoughts of what if that, what if that, what if this, or what if that. I think one of the messages that we can potentially garner, this is a personal opinion, is no longer being such a society of consumption of things, of stuff, right? So many people are cleaning out their garages now. I'm cleaning out in my home, about an hour here, an hour there. And there's a lot of things that we tend to accumulate that don't necessarily have the value of the dollars that we placed on them when we first bought them. And what we should be consuming is love, is kindness, and of course, not just consuming it, but sharing it. And those happen to be two things that the more you give it away, the more you get it back. And it may sound trite to some, but really think about this. You are at home. You are safer at home. Uh, Generally speaking, you've been safer at home long before the virus. Uh, but there's been such a desire in so many parts, myself included. Well, I got to get out of home. I have to be busy. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to, run in this rat race. For what? I remember one of my favorite expressions I heard many, many years ago is nobody has ever been on their deathbed and wish they had spent more time at the office. So now we have an opportunity every night to have dinner with our family, with a loved one. We have opportunities every night to do FaceTime with seven other people, to do house party and play games with seven other people you care about. Every night you have that opportunity. Have it during the day now. We're utilizing technology like we haven't before to still connect, even though we're not so connected physically. So a big thing during this time is for everybody to be patient and let's together create a vision of what this will look like after the virus subsides, the death toll and the impacted starts dropping. What will we look like? And it'll be up to us. And going back to your original question about our community, I think we've seen a lot of unity in our community, all across the board. We have the best first responders you can imagine. We have great collaboration with the hospital, and we're in excellent communication with them. We've had people like my friend Jimmy donate masks that he had manufactured and had extra. Another person in the community, Bill Reicherter, just connected with our local hospital to provide intubation boxes, which our CEO is very happy to receive. And there are lots of opportunities and lots of connections that are being made and fulfilled here in our community because we have a lot of great people that care, a lot of smart people, a lot of unselfish people. And for those of you that have been staying home and following our guidelines and exceeding the guidelines, on behalf of our city, I want to say thank you.
Mayor Scott, those are great words of encouragement. And considering that the local government, as you say, and the community is doing such a great job, but as you know, it takes an intra-government approach to truly solve this pandemic and any problem. And so, does the city and do you, as mayor, feel supported by the federal, state, and county governments as well?
So we have some great officials that represent our community that I and our commission and our team at the city are working hand in hand with. Jared Moskowitz is one of them. He, is from Parkland, and he's the director of I think it's the FEMA connection here at the state. I don't know the exact title, but we're in touch with him on a regular basis. I just got off the phone with Ryan from Senator Scott's office right before I spoke to you, and he's working with us to assist our community here. Ted Deutsch is having his regular meetings pretty much every evening, is my understanding, to give us updates, take our questions, and also facilitate ideas. Representative Daley has been in excellent touch with us and our community here in Coral Springs. So I think we've had some great partners that are working with the city of Coral Springs to protect our residents and to preserve lives here in our community. Could things be better? They could always be better. And I'm sure, we'll look back and say, oh, we might have done this or that. However, we are in an unprecedented time. There's nothing that could have prepared us for this pandemic at this time. We have not seen anything like this in our lifetime. And it's now up to us as a collaborative unit to come up with solutions. And I shared this, many, many years ago. We can't just rely on government, to do for us. We also have to rely on ourselves, on potentially some businesses to assist, and not just rely on the government. And a lot of times, I ask people here often, you've got to manage upwards. So one of the reasons that I accepted your invitation is, Sinan, I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your peers' ideas. What do you need? How can we help you? How can we facilitate a stronger foundation for you and your peers so that when you're 24, 28, 32, that you've done everything you can to not only have the best possible life you can for you and your family, but what contributions have you made? Have you supported your community? So I want to help you and your peers that are similarly interested to be that bridge and be that connection, not only to help you have a great future, but so that we can build a stronger foundation for our community. Because surely after this, we will be more resilient than ever before. Surely after this, we can be more united than ever before. But that's going to be up to us.
Mayor Scott, I really do appreciate you joining me. You have given us great words as an advocate for the youth, as an advocate for mental health, and as the mayor of Coral Springs. What are your final words of advice and encouragement to the youth and the community at large?
So, thanks for sharing again about mental wellness, and which reminds me of something else I want to share and wrap up for you with my final words. So, we, with some other volunteers in the community, some other leaders in the community, we formed what's called the Mental Wellness Networking Alliance back last March. Unfortunately, we lost two teenagers to suicide last March, Calvin and Sydney. And from that, that was my ultimate impetus to ask for other volunteers in the community to work with me and build this alliance. I wound up starting a not for profit last year with the help of Kimberly Catino and Jason Hanstra. And we have now meetings every week at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays by Zoom and Facebook Live to talk about how we are getting through and beyond this pandemic. So if you're interested, please share the Zoom invite that I'll share with you after this meeting. And this is a great way for people to talk about how they feel, share their anxiety, share their fears, and hear that they're not alone, which is so important because nobody is alone. We're all in this together. And also hear about solutions from the different therapists that are there and from different people that are experiencing this with us and are also solution oriented. So we're not just sharing our problems. We're spending a lot of times to share the solutions, and that may be, Sinan, my ultimate advice for you and your peers in our community is, yeah, we are going through this extraordinarily difficult time. So that is what's so. And now what? What can we do? What should we do to get beyond this? So I think the more educated we are, and the more we follow the rules and maybe exceed the rules, that will help. Think about, be creative. What new opportunities exist as a result? What will exist as a result of what we've been through? A lot of people wish they had, invested in Zoom now years ago. Zoom all of a sudden is used by so many people, and that's just one example. And the last thing is, as much as you can, be respectful of your peers, of your family. Not everybody is responding to this virus, and I don't mean, not following the rules. I'm talking about some people are very fearful, some people are very optimistic, and you have people that run the gamut. And I think it's important that we respect each other and understand that so many of us are going through very strong emotions. And these strong emotions and this coronavirus that we're experiencing, they're both temporary. So, don't do things that are going to have long-term consequences. And if you're feeling alone, isolated, depressed, call 211, call a therapist, call a friend. Reach out to a confidant, reach out to me, and I'll help give you resources. And it's so important that we be there for each other. And really, in order to be there for each other, we have to be present to ourselves and what we're going through, acknowledge it, and then do the next right thing.
Mayor Scott, I really do appreciate you joining me today and addressing the youth, addressing the community over the coronavirus pandemic and what we can do to take advantage of the resources that the local government is putting out for us. We appreciate your leadership, and we know that we're in good hands with your leadership. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All the best to you. Hope to see you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.